Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Mike.
I'm Mike.
And thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Please remember to subscribe. Mike and I just got back from Chicago. We were there for Axpona 2022. We had a great time. Saw a lot of rooms. There was probably about 200 rooms. Got to see some reps and customers and folks we hadn't seen since 2019.
Yeah.
And it was great to see everybody's smiling faces and get out and have a good time and enjoy the show, which we did. I flew out Thursday from Sarasota direct, and Mike went out from Tampa on Thursday. We both landed in the nick of time to get there for the industry mixer, I think they were calling it. So an industry gathering, reviewers, manufacturers, distributors, dealers, all getting together, and they had some sponsors for it, and it was very good. It was great. Hats off. The drinks were great. The food was fabulous.
Yeah.
Here I was. Usually you go to those things you're expecting, little cheap hors d'oeuvres. Like I give it the Florida Audio Expo. I definitely have to up my game on that. No, I mean, it was great. It was really, really good. It was high quality, and hats off to those folks. Mike and I were up early Friday morning. We hit the show right when it opened, and normally we go to the top floor and we tackle the rooms and we walk down the stairs because waiting for the elevator is a real pain. But this time we decided to hit the big rooms first because we always leave them till the end, but sometimes you don't have enough time. You wish you could spend more time in those rooms, and this time we decided to get to the big rooms first. So started out with the room that had the Wilson, I think it was the Alex V's, and the audio research amps. And it wasn't up to snuff at that time we went in there. I know how hard it is at the beginning to get the sound dialed in right. So I decided to politely leave and leave that room and come back to it later. The Boulder Sonus Faber Aida 2 room was excellent, especially when they were playing vinyl. I thought that sounded fantastic. I wasn't as big a fan of the digital, but which was, I think, the new DCS DAC in there, but not a knock against the DCS. It's just that the vinyl sounded very, very good.
It was very good.
Excellent.
Kronos in that room, correct?
No, that was a Clear Audio, some sort of Clear Audio anniversary piece or something. And I did see Garth from Musical Surroundings hovering around, and it was sounding really good.
It was outstanding.
Next, they had a Macintosh Sonus Faber system in the hallway. I don't know. It wasn't really... I don't know. It looked good. But anyway, we continued on and went into the room in the back on the main floor, and they had a pair of the new B&W Bowers & Wilkins 802D4s with Macintosh amps and preamp, and it was sounding outstanding. I mean, I'm not normally a big fan of that pairing. I like them both individually, but I know that's a common pairing. I'm not sure why. It's not my favorite, that's for sure. I prefer Luxman on B&W for a number of reasons, one of them being technical. That the Luxman amps can certainly deliver the definition, detail, punch, handle the difficult loads and whatnot. But I prefer the Luxman sound, but it sounded great. This room was dialed in.
It was.
The gentleman who was giving the discussion, I'm not sure if he was for Bowers & Wilkins or somewhere else, but he was great, and he played some great music, and that's half the battle. And it really hats off. And if you've not heard the new 802D4s or 801D4s, and your opinion of B&W is from 5, 10, 3 years ago, whatever, it's completely different. This new 800 series, they've tamed the tweeter and they've brought up the bass. And it's neutral, but it's musical. And whatever they've done, they've found the secret sauce. And, I've said to Mike many, many times that, the 802D4s, depending on the size of your room, the 802D4s or 801D4s, paired with the matching B&W subwoofers, which I love. Now, I know people are out there thinking, oh, they mustn't have great bass if you need subwoofers. No, subwoofers are to even out the bass in the room. It's not to give you more bass.
Right.
In fact, when I have 4 of these B&W subwoofers at home in a 14 by 20 room. It's not because I need more bass. It's because I want to even out the bass in my room. In fact, I can't tell you the number of times I've gotten up from my chair and said, they're not working. I don't hear them. And I go over and the cones are barely moving. The woofers are barely moving. So I think subwoofers I'm a big subwoofer fan. I know there's a lot of people out there, if you have subwoofers, it's a weakness in your speak. No, that's baloney. No, that's not what it's about. Subwoofers are about to even out the bass nodes in a room to make the bass as flat as possible in the room and give you the best bass, not the most bass. Because, sure, you can turn up the subwoofers full blast, but that's not what you're doing. The B&W subwoofers, I think, are some of the best that are out there because they built-in DSP and room correction. So the sub, using your phone, dials itself into the room. So take your iPhone, download the B&W subwoofer app, put it on top of the subwoofer, run through the setup. It'll run all these, frequency sweeps and other things. It will dial itself into wherever you put it.
In 5 minutes.
In 5 minutes. So there's no tinkering like, I know there's some subs out there like Rels and other things like that. Yeah, they sound good, but they're a pain in the ass to get dialed into the room. You're always tweaking with, it's too much. Oh, where do I cross it over? Oh, what about this? This one does it automatically, and you'll never know it's even on. It's that good. But anyway, I digress. The B&W room with the Macintosh was very, very good. And the new 802 D4s, we have them here in the store. Big fans.
Yep.
We continued on, and there was this room off to the side that was, it seemed like a garage sale. I don't know what they were doing. They had all this stuff out all over the tables, and there was always a gathering of people. I mean, it was like a garage sale gone wrong. I don't know what they were doing. I'm not making light, but
a drawing or something.
Yeah, I don't know if they were giving stuff away or whatever. But I looked in there and I looked at it, and I don't know what they were doing. But anyway, I kept going. So the next big room was a full Burmeister system, and I had the opportunity to meet Dieter Burmeister several times in Munich, Germany, at the high-end show. And, his death is definitely a great loss for the industry. And he's been gone several years now, but it's back then, the Burmeister stuff was always new and innovative and great to see. So it was exciting to go in and see the eye candy that is Burmeister. And the room wasn't sounding overly great. It was okay. It was just a little soft for me. So I listened to a track or two, and then I left. Going next door, we had, rock concert-sized Klipschorn Jubilee speakers, which, make normal Klipschorns look like bookshelf speakers.
Yeah.
These things were ginormous. They had them towed in at probably 45 degrees.
It looked like it.
Yeah, I mean, this was severe tow-in of the speakers. They sounded great. I thought they were dynamic. They had a big sound. The bass was not as defined as I would like. We played a couple of classical pieces, and you should really be able to hear the impact of the timpani. And it just was like a woof. Like, it really just wasn't really there.
They're good for rock.
They're good for rock. And I kept thinking to myself, if I had a big basement up in the north, I would buy these, put them in the basement, and we'd have parties all day long, and they'd be a lot of fun. We don't have basements in Florida, so probably not ideal for what I would do. I wouldn't say the most critical listening speaker, but that's not a criticism. They are what they are. They're a lot of fun, and they were definitely impressive in a big scale of a way. Next door to that was the T+A room, and they had a lot of their equipment out on display, tops off, showing you the engineering, the brilliant German engineering of their products. They had a system playing, but it really wasn't a go in and demo and 25 people listening kind of setup. So we politely walked around the room, looked at stuff, and left. But it was, obviously impressive from a design standpoint.
Sure.
Next door was the room with the Estolons, the brand new Krell amplifier. Also had an MSB reference DAC, which we're very familiar with here. It had the new Inuit Statement music servers with the new power supply. We're Inuit dealers. We love the product. So we were familiar with a lot that was in the room. I did get a chance to speak with Walter Schofield, the COO of Krell, on the new product, the new amp, the new technology that they're using. Sounded very good. Thought there was a little bit of a bass bloat. There was a little bit to boomy bass kind of issue. But that being said, it was a tricky room with very high ceilings.
All of them.
Yeah, I mean, having set up in shows, it's tough. And aside from that, I think they did very well with the room that they had. It kind of looks square, too. I mean, I don't know. But it was definitely a trickier room, for sure, to get the sound right. But it was quite good.
Yeah.
And that Inuit Statement server with the new power supply was really singing with the MSB DAC. Great combination.
Yep.
All right, so next, if you've been to Axpona, you know the lay of the land. You walk through the doors and there's big, giant conference rooms where they hold the seminars. Mike and I went to one of the seminars, which was the Future of High-End Audio, moderated by Myles, Astor, the positive feedback reviewer and friend of mine. On the panel was Angela Cardis. It was Walter Schofield, Angie Lissy, Jeff Joseph, and some guy, Framer or something?
Yeah.
Some vinyl guy.
Digital
MQA.
I think he loves, MQA lover.
Yeah.
No, Michael Framer was there, absolutely, and he's one of the best and one of the funniest for sure. He definitely provided great comic relief and some very good insight.
Yes.
On the panel, but the discussion was very good. I mean, the future of high-end audio is very bright. I don't know all these old guys that are like, oh, back in my day. Yeah, really? I mean, come to our store for a day and see how much work we're doing.
Right.
We are busier than you can imagine. And the future of the high-end audio is bright. And there was a lot of information that these veterans gave, and it was very interesting to get their perspective. I really enjoyed it. We've posted a video. Mike actually videoed the most of it, 99% of it, and posted it on YouTube. And if I remember, I'll put a link in the comments section here so you can watch it. But that was a very good seminar. There was a couple others I wanted to see, but I didn't get a chance to.
It's always go, 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 go.
Yeah, always.
At every show.
Every show. You're trying to get through 200 rooms before your flight. So that's basically it. And I was there Friday all day, and Saturday and Sunday morning I had to get home. I had an Elton John concert that night, and it was fantastic.
I'm jealous.
75 years old, and he played almost 3 hours by himself. Just amazing. I don't know how that guy does. And he has 400 shows.
I couldn't believe it when you told me
in
that.
his final tour. 400 shows!
At 75.
I got tired thinking of that. So we continued on, back to the show. We continued on the main floor. I think one of the first rooms we went into after we passed the big seminar rooms was the Stenheim VTL WattX room. That wasn't for me. I listened to a couple tracks. That wasn't for me, and I left. It wasn't my cup of tea.
Same.
Around the corner, there was I think there was a room with, what was the server? I can't remember the name of the company. That slipped my mind now. But Orlick or something. I think it was an Orlick room. And I forget what speakers they had in there. Was it the ATCs or something?
Oh, I know what you mean. Yes, I think they were ATCs.
I could be wrong.
No, I think you're right.
No, okay. So anyway,
Maybe.
we listened in that room for a couple songs. Yeah, I think that was the ATCs because I was bitching that the wires were coming out of the mid-range going, why are they doing this?
Yeah.
Haven't they figured out a way after all these years to get rid of those wires coming out of the mid-range?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Apologies to ATC fans out there. Anyway. And then...
It wasn't horrible. but
Oh no! The sound was fine.
Yeah.
The sound was fine. Very warm and woolly, like you would expect. But it was not woolly, but it was warm, and it was very inviting. It was very good. Yes. So I think down in that main area they have a lot of the sort of static display of headphones, and they've got other things going, static display of accessories and headphones and other things. They got a small, I skipped that. Mike went to it.
I went to it.
I wasn't that
found
interested.
it interesting. I found it interesting. He's not into that stuff.
I'm not interested. Yes, anyway. So I continued on, and we went up the stairs, and then they have more big rooms on the second floor. And we started out with a fantastic room, which was the Magico S5 Mark II with the Cat amps and preamp. And Ken Stevens was there, proudly displaying some of the best sounding electronics in the world by far, which was the CAT. It sounded beautiful. I mean, absolutely wonderful. Ken always gets a great sounding room, and this was no exception. So really, really good. Next room I went to, I believe, was the Cora. Was the Cora with the big VAC 452 IQ monos, and it had didn't they have the United Home Audio tape deck, and
I think they
think
had
so.
it in that room.
And it sounded very good, and I had a chance to speak with the gentleman from Acora and learn all about the company and how he got started, and the history of his family in working with granite and marble and other stones, and it was really interesting. And how he said to me he worked for years to perfect the speakers before bringing them to market. So that was very interesting to see. I know one particular company. They don't have dealers anymore, but they bring products to market and then let the public be their testing site.
Right.
But anyway, that's a whole nother story. Went on to another room, which was the Borisons, and they always have them very wide apart. These were the stand mount speakers that they had. They sounded good. They're very expensive. They're quite expensive speakers for a two-way, I'm saying. But they sounded good, and there was a lot of talking in the room. There's always a lot of talking about the speakers and the design. So I stayed for a couple tracks and then left. But overall, it sounded very good. And it's unique how they have them so far apart, and the sound staging you get.
They sound great, but
so around the corner from there, or right next door actually, I think was the Magico M6s with the new Luxman M10X.
Yes.
That was one of the rooms I really came to hear because I knew the M6s very well. They sounded phenomenal, but I wanted to hear the M10X because we have them on order for the store, and we've been, both of us, big fans of the M900U, so we wanted to see how it's predecessor is going to sound, and or successor, and that is the M10X, and they sounded amazing. They had the same sweetness and musicality that you would expect from the M900U, but the bass was punchy, tight, impact. I mean, it was all there. And
incredible.
So definitely this is an amp that we're very excited to be getting into the store, I think maybe next week.
Yeah.
So we're very, very excited.
It's a step up.
Definitely a step up. And even though it was in the one of the smaller rooms, which I'll talk about later, we also got to hear the new 507Z from Luxman. So if you're not aware, Luxman will not likely have any more Class A integrated amplifiers for environmental reasons, but they've certainly designed a new series of integrated amps, starting with the 507Z, which have a wonderful musical sound. I'll say it sounds more like the 509 than the 590 to my ears, but it was certainly an exceptionally good new integrated that we heard in one of the smaller rooms upstairs. But very exciting stuff from Luxman, and the M6s, as always, one of the most beautiful speakers around, and they sounded great. Big bass, big sound, and Peter had them dialed in. Peter from Magico had them dialed in perfectly. After that, we went around the corner. There was the Scania speakers. I think they're from Florida, actually. I think they are. Yeah. And they have big line array and separate woofers. I've heard them many times. They have big sound and very defined soundstage.
Very unique.
Very unique. So we listened to that. Next was I think it was the Vac von Schweiker room. I think. And I think they had it's hard to remember.
Yeah, because there's so many rooms.
Yeah, the Ultra 7's in there with the VAC and sounded very good. We went on to the next room, which was the Focal name room, and that was definitely one of the highlights for me. That room was amazing. I couldn't believe how, first of all, they had the maestros with the name statement, and then they only had the Naim NDX2, which is the middle streamer in the Naim lineup, and they didn't even have the XPSDR, which is the power supply the standalone power supply to improve the NDX2. So it was just the NDX2
standalone. Yeah.
So $75,000, $8,000, whatever it is now, streamer, and with the name statement stuff, and it was fantastic.
It was incredible.
It was huge sound, big dynamics, big bass, filled the room, tons of definition. It was really, really impressive. And I'm thinking, what would it sound like with a 555 streamer for the Naim ND555 and 2 power supplies, which you can do, one for the analog section, one for the digital section.
Yeah.
We have it here in the store, and that would be mind-blowing, because that's a $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 digital setup from Naim. So that would have been fun to hear. And then most impressive in that room was something I wasn't expecting. They had the Focal Cora entry level. That's where the Focal speaker start, is the chorus line, and they had set up in a Dolby Atmos situation, and they were playing some Elton John music, which was phenomenal. It was mind-blowing how good this Dolby Atmos system sounded.
Incredible.
Now I'm old, and I remember the days of quadraphonic sound. I grew up with that. You had 4 speakers, front, left, and right, and you had 2 behind you, and you'd often have, drums in the left speaker and guitar in the right and something in the back. Anyway.
I have no idea.
Depending on the right, shall we say, ingredients, Pink Floyd could sound very good back then, listening to quadraphonic sound. But it was nothing compared to the Dolby Atmos setup that we heard. That we heard today. That was really, really, really impressive.
It's incredible. Yeah.
That was good.
Mind blowing.
For
how small the room was.
It was. Great job. And the other good thing about the Focal Naim room, there was like 97 reps there. There was so many people from Focal Naim that if you were a consumer, you had no problem finding someone to answer your questions. So hats off. It was really good.
They nailed it.
Next was the Wynn audio room, and Wynn Wong is actually a friend of mine from Toronto. I was born in Toronto. Wynn is a class act. He's a distributor for many great brands like Crystal Cables, Karan, K-A-R, some people say Karen, K-A-R-A-N, electronics, Vimberg speakers, a variety of other things, and he had a great sounding room, as he always does, and he's a great guy. If you don't know him, fabulous, one of the best guys, nicest guys you'll ever meet, and he had a great sounding room. So after that, we went to the Dynaudio Octave room, and this was one of my top 2 sounding rooms.
Same.
I don't sell Dynaudio, I don't sell Octave, but it sounded amazing. They had the big Octave monoblocks, the Octave preamp, and then they had the Dynaudio Contour 60s, I think they were.
Yeah, something.
And now the DAC, I'm going to tell you something interesting. The DAC was the Sim Audio Moon 780D, and it had the 820S power supply. Now, a room I forgot that we heard very early on after the Boulder and the Sonus Faber IE to 2s, I forgot it was also down there in the corner, was the Wilson Sasha Dawes with Sim Audio.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the DAC was the same. It was the 780D and the 820S. And I felt that source was kind of a secret sauce.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people, you don't associate sim audio Moon with, digital, because everyone thinks, MSB or DCS or, Esoteric or, some of the other brands that are out there that are Berkeley, they're strictly digital and, or highly digital in their portfolio. But let me tell you, in that room with the Wilson Sasha DAWs, and more importantly, in the room with the Dynaudio and the Octave, it was fantastic.
Mind blowing.
Mind blowing. Now, I didn't get a chance to hear vinyl in the in either of those rooms, so I'm making an assumption here. It was certainly a big part of that great sound was the DAC, and I believe it was. In the Dynaudio Octave room, they did have a turntable in there, but I literally must have spent 2 hours in there between Friday and Saturday, and they didn't play it once, so I don't know. But the digital, maybe it's because the digital was sounding so great,
right.
And that's what I would take away from that. And we did get a demo of the little Octave integrated that they have now with, it has built-in auto biasing, and it sounded really good. It definitely carried over the sonic signature of the integrated. So that's something I'll be looking at more closely for sure. I was very impressed with the Octave electronics, and of course we carry some audio, so we've already called our rep and requested a 780D and an 820S because we were both left scratching our head that it was that good.
We
were blown away. Yeah, we've had sim audio digital in here, and it's been excellent, especially the CD players. We're big fans, so we really shouldn't be surprised. But I think that was it for the big rooms. Anything stand out additional for you?
So for me, the Dynaudio room, I had no idea it was going to be that good. I just wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
So that room was incredible.
Yeah.
Really. And the Magico S5s with the CAT.
The caps.
Yeah, those amps are incredible. That room's always incredible at every show we go to that we see them at.
Yeah.
So those are the two standouts, and then the Boulder room obviously was
very, Boulder
very
room
good.
was really good, and all the Boulder guys were there, and it was great to see, and that was a lot of fun. That was it. And keep in mind, the takeaways from the shows should be try not to judge too much good or bad from the shows, because it's luck of the draw if a manufacturer, dealer, distributor, whatever, gets a good room or a bad room. So the room is huge, and I think you have to just take that with a grain of salt. So don't get too worked up about what the situation is in terms of whether it sounded horrible but it's your favorite brand, or if it sounded great and you weren't thinking. The room is a big part of it, but you can certainly get a taste and a flavor, and I think that's really the takeaway.
Yeah, none of the rooms are perfect, in my opinion.
Correct.
It's as good as they can get it.
Yep,
for the
and
show.
and you've got Hotel Power, which is suspect at best, and you've got tricky rooms that you're unfamiliar with, or you don't have the right treatments that you can use, and I think given the challenges, especially being out of practice for a few years because of COVID, I think the overall that everyone did a great job in the big rooms. So
I'm glad we nailed those first two.
Yeah.
Because everybody was upstairs.
Everyone was upstairs, so we were able to fly through the big rooms and really get some good seating positions and listening and time, and that was important. But we're going to talk about the small rooms next.